What's going on, everybody? America Football Network here with another video today. And today we are bringing you our Texas Longhorns preview prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of August. We're trying to hit that monetization goal before the start of the college football season. We are currently 18 away, so you guys help us out and check that out. Also, later tonight, around 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to be doing a live stream on the new AP poll and compared my top 25 to the recently released AP top 25. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you won't miss that. We hope to see you guys there. But let's go ahead and jump into this Texas preview. So last year they went 8-5 overall, 6-3 in the Big 12, had some very close losses. They lost to Alabama at home in week 2, 20-19 in a game where starting quarterback Quinn Ewers got knocked out of the game. Then you look when they went on the road to Texas Tech, they lost that one by 3 in overtime, 37-34. Lost to TCU by a touchdown at home, 17-10. Lost to Washington in the Alamo Bowl, 27-20, and did get beat. I missed one at Oklahoma State, 41-34. So all 5 of their losses, one possession football games, which is something that, you have optimism going into the next season, especially when you return 9 of your starters offensively from an offense that was very good a year ago. You look at how they finished ranked in the Big 12, 3rd in scoring at 34.5 points a game, 4th in rushing at 188.2. 7th in passing at 241.4, which I expect to be up this year, them to be, top 3 or 4 in passing this season. And then in the total offense, they average 429.5. You also get some big guys on the defense to come back. You get 6 starters, including your entire secondary, but your free safety, I'm blanking on his name, went to the NFL draft. I can't remember his name, but you upgrade at the position when you get Jalen Catalon, the transfer from Arkansas, in at safety, the senior. There's been a lot of talk of him in fall camp. They like his edge, they like his chippiness, and they just love overall just the way he plays. I expect him to have a big season, and that's big whenever you look at, this defense that you have already. That last year finished 2nd in scoring defense in the Big 12, allowed 21.6 points a game, 2nd in rush defense, 125.7 yards a game, 4th in pass defense, 242.7 pass yards a game, and 368.4 total yards a game was good for 2nd in the Big 12. So you have a good, you have a good team already. Now let's get to the transfers. We already talked about Jalen Catalon that comes in. You look at, Trill Carter on the D-line from Minnesota. He's going to be good. You look at Gavin Holmes, the cornerback from Wake Forest transferring in. He's going to be, very good for you, and start there at the other cornerback position. I apologize. Texas runs a 3-3-5, so they did lose 2 players, and I'm, for whatever reason, blanking on both of their names at the cornerback or secondary position. I'm blanking on both of them, but it'll work itself out. We'll figure out who they are. I'm sure you guys can let me know in the comments, but they get better, in my opinion, at both positions than what they were last year. I think Gavin Holmes is going to be a very good corner, and I think Jalen Catalon has the potential to be one of the best safeties in the Big 12. They love the way he plays. Then you get to the offensive transfer, in my opinion, the biggest transfer in Adonai Mitchell, the transfer from Georgia at wide receiver. I think this dude is incredible. 6'4", 190, just fast. Great size on him. You pair him up with Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington, and you have one of the absolute best receiving corps in the country. Then you have Quinn Ewers, who's coming back again for his 2nd season at Texas. Last year went 172 of 296 overall passing numbers, 2,177 yards, 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Those numbers are going to be a lot better. Now, you do lose Bijan Robinson, your big-time running back. That is the only major loss I really see that this team has that's going to be hard to replace. But Jonathan Brooks comes back, 200 yards on 30 carries last year for 5 touchdowns. They also have C.J. Baxter, the freshman, who I believe was a 5-star running back from Edgewater, Florida. 6'1", 215, number 30 overall player. So this team is absolutely loaded offensively and defensively too. It's going to be a great season for Texas. They also have a lot of young talent coming in. They had the 3rd ranked recruiting class, bringing in 30 commits, 5 5-stars, 16 4-stars, and 9 3-stars last season. So it's looking like it's going to be a great season for Texas this year in Sarkisian's 3rd year at the school. 13-12 overall so far with Texas, but I expect that that's going to shoot way up this season. So let's go ahead and jump in to the actual schedule part. So week 1, they get a home game against Rice. This is a good warm-up game before you go on the road to Alabama. Play your starters for 2.5 quarters. Get some stuff, get them rolling, get some of the stuff that you might struggle with and need some in-game action to work out, get all that worked out and be a well-oiled machine going into Bryant-Denny. I have that game as a win against Rice. Obviously Rice isn't going to be able to compete with the Texas Longhorns. Then they go on the road to Alabama in what may be the biggest game of the regular season. You can argue FSU, LSU is the biggest one. This one's a huge one too. There's a lot of big games, but this one is definitely the best game in week 2, a must-watch game for any college football fan. And I have Texas winning this game. They lost 1 point last year to an Alabama team that was really good, returned a lot, and Texas didn't even have their starting quarterback in the game. Quinn Ewers got knocked out in the middle of the first quarter, maybe right at the start of the second quarter, sometime between that range. The score was, I believe, 7-7, and Texas was driving on that. I believe they got a field goal out of that. I can't 100% remember the game, but he got knocked out, and the game was close, and they were driving, looking like they were going to really take control. They had momentum on their side when he went down with the injury. He's back this year. Assuming he stays healthy in this game, I see no way that Alabama beats them. I just think Alabama has way too much to figure out, and this is too early in a team to play, or too early in the season to play a team the caliber of Texas, in my opinion. Now, it is at Alabama, and that is going to be a very tough place to play. And it's going to be a sellout crowd, I would imagine. Tickets are going pretty high for that one. It's definitely been a highly anticipated matchup all off season for sure. I believe tickets right now just to sit well up in the first level of Alabama, almost in the second level, is like $400+. So it's a huge matchup. Everybody's excited about it, and I think that Texas will come away with the win in that one. Then they get Wyoming at home. I have this game as a win. The out-of-conference games are usually, to at least 2 of the 4, or the 3 in this case for the Big 12, are a little bit lower teams, kind of just work your way into the conference schedule. And so I like that. I like this Wyoming game where it's at. You get an easy one before Bama, and you get an easy one after them. Another win here for the Longhorns. Then they go on the road to Baylor. I have this game as a win. I think Baylor is a team that can potentially push Texas. They're a team that's got some talent. You look last year, and Texas won this game at home by 11. So they're a team that can, they can make some noise a little bit, but I think that they just don't have enough. I think that Texas has way too much on offense, and that Baylor's offense is also going to have a hard time against that Texas defense. But the main thing is, I don't think there is any way this Baylor offense, or this Baylor defense, can keep Texas from scoring, 38+ points like they scored. They scored 38 last year. I think it's safe to say Texas scores 40+ in this game. Then they get Kansas at home. I have this game as a win. Again, another team that could potentially beat Texas. They beat them 2 years ago and got their first Big 12 win in forever. But then last season, Texas absolutely blew the doors off of Kansas on the road, beat them 55-14. Now, that was a Kansas team that didn't have Jalen Daniels in that game, who is probably a top 10, top 7 quarterback in the country returning for the Jayhawks this year. He got injured sometime in the middle of the season. I can't remember the exact game it was that he was injured in. I think it was maybe the 7th game of the year, somewhere around in there. But it was that really killed Kansas. Jason Bean is a solid quarterback, but he's nowhere near the level of Daniels, and he's not gonna. He doesn't lose you games, but he also just doesn't make the plays to win you games whenever you're not the best team on the field. He doesn't make those plays to win the game, and so that really showed last year when Texas just annihilated them 55-14. And I think Texas wins again this year, but I could see Kansas making it close and making this a game. We'll see. Then they get Oklahoma and the Red River rivalry. Try saying that fast. In this game, they won 49-0 last season. I expect them to win this game again. I think they will, but I don't think that they're going to win 49-0. I think Oklahoma and Brent Venables in year 2 are going to be a much improved team. I think this will be a close game. I think Oklahoma really has a shot at winning it, and it'll be a fun one to watch, but I do think Texas will come out on top. Then they go on the road to Houston, one of the new members of the Big 12. I have this game as a win. Houston is probably the worst team in the Big 12. You could argue West Virginia, but Houston's pretty low on the scale. So I have Texas winning, obviously. I just don't think Houston has the pieces to really compete with them. You look at this team last year. This was a team some people were talking about. Could this potentially be the second group of 5 school that makes it into the college football playoff? Like, Houston was highly regarded going into last season. They disappointed by a lot. They lost a lot of key guys. And so now they move to the Big 12 without those guys, and they haven't really replaced them. I think Texas wins easily. Then they get BYU at home. I have this game as a win. Another new member to the Big 12 in their first season, and Texas is going to give them a rude awakening in this game. Obviously, it won't be BYU's first Big 12 game, but it'll kind of show them, hey, this is what you're in for, although Texas is kind of leaving for the SEC next year. But I expect Texas to really whoop up on BYU this season. I think BYU is going to have a hard time in this game. I don't think they're going to really be able to get anything going on either side of the ball. I'm not a big fan of Keaton Slovis. I don't really like what he brings to the table as far as a quarterback goes. So, I have a win there for Texas. Then they get Kansas State at home. They beat the Big 12 champions last season on the road 34-27, and I have them beating them again. I think this is a game that they win. I think they're just better than Kansas State is. I think Kansas State has a lot of big pieces. I think Will Howard is a very good quarterback, but I don't really like this Kansas State offense without Deuce Vaughn. He brought a lot to the table, and he really carried that offense. He really did. And so I see Kansas State having a hard time. They also lost some big defensive players. The edge, Felix, whatever his last name is, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. They lose him. They lose some other guys as well. So Kansas State has a lot to replace, and that's why I really love Texas this season. They don't really lose a whole lot. They don't really have a lot to replace. And in the few positions that they did lose some guys in other than running back, I really feel like they upgrade a lot at most of them. Then they go on the road to TCU. They lost to TCU by 7 last year at home. I have this game as a loss for Texas. I think they drop one somewhere. I have this game as a loss. I think TCU is still going to be an explosive offense under Chandler Morris this season. I think they're going to be a good football team, and I think that they are going to come away with the win against Texas. So first loss of the season for the Longhorns. Then they go on the road to Iowa State. I have this game as a win. I think the Cyclones are obviously in a mess right now. Texas beat them by 3 at home last year, 24-21. But this Iowa State team's in a mess right now with all the gambling stuff that they've gotten into, specifically the starting quarterback, Hunter Deckers. That's going to be a huge loss. So a win there for Texas easily. Then they get Texas Tech, who may be the most improved team in the Big 12 as far as talent goes. They did go 8-5 last season, but I'm not talking record-wise. I'm talking about talent-wise and the jump some of their guys are going to make. I think Tyler Shue's going to have a big year this season. And this is a team that beat Texas last year. It was a road game for the Longhorns, but Texas Tech did win that game 37-34. But I expect Texas to get their revenge on the in-state team in Texas Tech. I expect them to get the win. I expect it to be a closer game, probably a 10-point win for Texas, but I expect it to be a very fun and exciting and a good win for the Longhorns. So that wraps up their season schedule. I have them going 11-1 overall, 8-1 in the conference. A great season for Texas and Steve Sarkisian in his third year. I think the Longhorns could potentially be in the running for a college football playoff bid this season. I think it's going to be a great team. I love all the pieces that they have on offense and on defense. I think they're going to be they're probably going to be one of the most explosive offenses in the country. The talent they have on that side of the football is unreal. But that wraps up today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Help me hit that 1,000 subs by the end of August. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you guys.